Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Carrie and I talk about faith, family, and kids videos. Today's video is going to be how I would set up for a numbers lesson, what everything in a numbers lesson means for the Abeka curriculum, and hopefully give you some ideas for how to homeschool with numbers.
What's there to say? There's nothing but space in between.
So last week, if you caught my video on Saturday, I showed you how I do a phonics lesson with the kids. And I just went over phonics itself. I never went over phonics review. So I am going to tag that in here real quick, a little honorable mention for phonics review. There's also numbers review. So we will be tagging that in here as well. So this is going to be phonics review, numbers, and numbers review. Really, phonics and numbers are kind of the only things in K4 that you're doing. They're the main parts, the main components of the curriculum. So we're going to be looking at lesson 41 for this. Alright, so with the preparation, we have some visuals. The first one is the number houses chart. That's this chart right here. Now, something I didn't show you in other videos is on the bottom it will tell you homeschool numbers, charts, and games, number houses chart 1A. Whenever it does like an A or B, that just means it's a different piece. So, you know, that's only 0 to 50, and I believe that 1B would be 50 to 100, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what the NCG means, is numbers, charts, and games. So that's something that you pretty much keep up on your board or maybe on your wall because you're going to be using it every single day. The next thing it says is numbers concept flashcards 1 to 7. That would be these right here. And again, on the back, they'll say numbers concept flashcards. Everything's labeled. It's just knowing where to look for it. Then it says make 7 leaves from construction paper, fall leaf colors, and then save for later lessons. A lot of times, the curriculum will tell you to make things out of construction paper. But what I've done instead is I've actually just printed out a template, and if you saw my video 2 videos ago when I was kind of explaining the phonics, you would have seen a template with a whole bunch of leaves that were colored, and we were using that to make a Thanksgiving placemat, which if you want to see, by the way, comment down below so I can know what you guys are interested in. But from that template I also made these leaves, and I just had it printed out and then I colored them myself in the different colors. This, for some reason, the lighting makes it look green, but it's brown. I know I have such awesome coloring. So, I don't know. This one looks, it's brown, and it looks more brown in person. I guess I probably should have colored it darker. But, these are the leaves. On most of them, I have them magnetized on the back. The last thing in preparation says shapes cut from different color construction paper. The nanny family that I worked for actually had a huge bag of foam shapes. So instead of like wasting my time cutting a bunch of shapes out of construction paper, I just did that. And honestly, like, it's probably not that expensive to do that. Like, I can try to find one on Amazon and I'll link it below. But then that way, like, you're not wasting your time because you actually are going to use these shapes so often. You're going to use them in numbers, in phonics. I've had the curriculum before tell me, like, write letters, write numbers on them, and do different things with them. And then in this case, it's actually working on patterns. So, just have a bunch of those in there. And I specifically picked out ones that I can make patterns with. And then, if I ever need a refill, I have a huge bag. So, because sometimes if I do write letters or numbers on them that I know I'm not going to be using again, or else I put magnetic tape on the back and I don't think that I could like reuse it, whatever it is, like, I can throw them away because I got a huge bag of them. So, procedure: number houses chart, point to numbers as child counts to 20. So that's that chart again, and I use Sparky. This is Sparky. I don't think I showed you him last lesson. He is my pointer. Just put him on the end of a yardstick, and I don't remember if it comes, I think it comes in the phonics charts and game like pack. I actually don't remember what he got punched out of, but he's either in that or like the learning games or the numbers charts and games. But I want to say it's for phonics because I think that's the first time I introduced him in the curriculum was through phonics, and I think it's actually in the first couple lessons too. But that's what I use to point to the numbers. So when you're pointing to the numbers, I like to point beside them so that the child sees what's coming next, and I'm not covering the number. I'm not going 0 or I'm not going 0 and covering this up. So make sure that you are beside it. I mean, sometimes you can be underneath it if you have a child that is struggling with like understanding like which one it is, like if they're counting but they're just counting from head knowledge and not from seeing the number, then you can be like, okay, like they need to recognize this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. But even the way that the dog's nose is pointed kind of helps you understand like you need to be to the side of it. Numbers concept flashcards. So those are the flashcards I showed you, and it says practice number recognition. All right, so if you're like, okay, like how am I doing that? At the beginning of the curriculum, they do tell you like in detail how to do things, and then they stop babysitting you, and you should, you know, have some kind of rhythm down by then. So this is lesson 41. They've kind of dropped off from telling you every little detail, which makes sense. That'd be annoying if they told you in detail every time how to do something that you already know how to do. But in case you're dropping in now and you're just like, I need somebody to show me, I'm visual, totally get it. You can use several different methods to do this. Oftentimes just having them stand up and flipping through the cards and having them tell you what the number is. If you really want to mix it up or challenge the child, turn it over this way and say how many of each thing is on the back, how many bumblebees, how many otters, how many birds, whatever. You can do that. Review is something that you always want to do quickly, not because it's not important, but because you want the child to be at the point where they know it so well that they can do it quickly. So there's even sometimes in the curriculum where they will tell you specifically to make it quick, make it fast, make it speedy. This also helps the child to have something to work for, especially if it is information that they know pretty well. So for example, with these numbers, the 5-year-old like knew these numbers like a long time ago, and so the numbers curriculum is actually really slow for him, but it's great for the 2-year-olds and 1-year-old. So I try to find ways where it's interesting for him. And today we did a speedy round and he loved it because he was like really paying attention and making sure he got every number correct when he was seeing it, and so that kind of helps. All right, next thing, it says mix up flashcards, play number order game, count to check. Okay, so it even says see lesson 25. That's what the L means, is lesson. So lesson 25 is when they would have originally introduced this game and told you how to play it. So as a teacher, especially depending on how many kids you have, if you're just doing one, this is gonna look different. But with my 5 kids, I hand them each a card. And since I have 5 kiddos, I start them out by putting one, like we're up to 7 right now. I start by putting 1 and 2 on the floor, and then I'll start counting and I'll say 1, 2, 3, and then 3 will go up. Whoever has the card 3, because I hand out the rest, whoever has the card 3 goes and puts theirs up on the wall. And then I'll say 4. And then that way the kids are getting out of their seat, they're playing a game, they're learning to put numbers in order, and they're learning number recognition. So they look at their number and they're very proud of their number. They want to make sure that when it's their turn they know. And I don't know, like something about it, they just really get it. Like there are times when some of the 2-year-olds, I can show them this number and they say 3. But if I gave them this number for a number order game, like they know like when to go up. It's just funny. But it does actually help them learn their numbers. I just think that sometimes dots are not connected in little 2-year-old brains because they still are little, and this is 4-year-old material. Now it says count to check, so at the end when everyone has put their card up, when I go pick them up, that's when we count. So when I go pick up 1, I'm like 1, and then we count together, and I pick up 2 and I put it in front, all that. That's another thing, is whenever you're flashing cards, you always want to flip, or you always want to flash from back to front, and that would be the only exception is when you're trying to show them like as you pick them up, putting them in front for them to see. It says for numbers, concept flashcards / leaves / shapes, leaves, what you're going to do is you're going to show a flashcard and have child count out that many leaves and then continue with other numbers. Okay, so in the camera I'm actually reading that backwards, so if I sound like a dummy while I'm reading, that's why. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to read it backwards. Here they are, found them. If you didn't notice, I actually had a little S right next to this one. That is because that reminds me it's for the 5-year-old only, and the 2-year-olds and 1-year-olds are gonna get this. So I hand all 7 leaves to the child, and then I show them a card, and they need to hand me this many leaves. Simple. So obviously you can use anything for these concepts or these games. You could use toys. Just make sure that when you're using toys, you're thinking like similar toys, so like animals or all cars, something that's all similar, so the child kind of grasps the idea better. However, you want to have variety in your homeschool, and that kind of goes along with whatever season it is or whatever. It does help build interest, and the child is going to be more interested in learning when you're doing things like making leaves. Next thing, shapes. Place 7 stars, 4 squares, 5 hearts, I'm sorry, I'm so shaky, 5 hearts, 2 circles, 6 triangles, etc. randomly on the table. Have child find all triangles, then find squares, etc. Have him count all objects found. After counting, have him place number beside objects. I'm sorry, I actually decided not to read that big long one backwards, and I was not paying attention to how shaky it was, so if it was, I'm sorry. This is an example of something where preparation does not tell you exactly what you're going to be doing with the shapes. It just says cut out shapes from construction paper. So this is where you do need to look ahead and say, okay, I've got to have like 7 of something, 6 of another thing, 5 of another thing. So when it says put it randomly, it does not mean like you put the 7 stars all in a row on their table. You want to do it like all mixed up together. You put like a whole bunch of stars, whole bunch of squares, whatever, all the shapes all mixed up, but then they would show you, okay, like I found 6 rectangles, and they would find that card in this stack. Again, this is something I would do with the 5-year-old. The next thing is a 5-year-old thing as well. It says work with shape patterns. Place a circle on table, have child say shape. Place a square beside circle. Continue alternating shapes, having him name each shape. Go back to beginning of row and have child name shapes again, drawing attention to pattern. Ask what shape should come next to continue pattern. Repeat with other shapes and patterns. So the 5-year-old actually has done patterns before, like in a booklet. Before we actually started homeschooling, his parents bought him a booklet to work through, and that was something that he worked through in there. So he has the idea of patterns down so well that I usually just like do 2, and then he's like bored of it, so I'm like, all right, we're good. But that's what that is. Again, you can just use these foam shapes. Make sure that you're using 2 of the same color and shape. Even if you have another pink circle but it's a different size, I would suggest like getting some that are the same, because again, like you're wanting to convey the idea of a pattern to the child, and when you have 2 different things, it can be confusing. And then at the bottom, last thing says review flashcards by having child say number as you flash cards. Encourage speed. So we kind of already talked about that, about speedy, flashing the numbers, all that. So you should add that down, and that should be pretty easy. Now that's the main part. Here I'm going to talk about the reviews, so the phonics review and the numbers review. I'm going to go into numbers review first, only because we just talked about numbers, so I feel like it's a little bit easier to go into. With numbers review, again, it has chalkboard / paper, whichever one you do. Whenever you see that little chalkboard, you're actually going to be writing something in preparation for your lesson on the board. So it says draw boxes with numbers to match child's paper. So this was today's lesson, and here are the numbers on there. And I'm a little extra, so I even color code the boxes the same way. I'm just gonna call myself out real quick. So on these numbers, you'll see that I did not slant any of them except the last one. So definitely make sure that you slant your numbers. It's just like cursive, like you have to slant. It's just like, it's part of it. You look on their guide and even on their paper, all the numbers are slanted. And the last one is slanted because on their paper, it's an empty box that they do themselves. And when I was showing it, I was like, I started doing it straight and I was like, no, let me try this again. And like, I was like, I'm sorry, I messed up. You need to be slanting this and all that, yeah. See, if you mess up sometimes, it's okay. It says here, materials, ABC 1 through 3, page 37. These are great because they actually say on the bottom what lesson it's for too. So 37, ABC 1 through 3, lesson 41. And then it says cursive formation guide 4. So like, it's not saying there's more than one formation guide, it's saying the number 4 on this guide. I believe this is in the appendix. Or in the beginning, one of the two. In the beginning of the book, of curriculum book, or the end, something like that. Okay, so then it says you're gonna go to the chalkboard. Again, that's what that symbol means, is you're gonna go chalkboard or paper, whatever, and you're going to demonstrate formation of 4 using the guide, chalkboard, paper, whatever. So the thing that you wrote, like you're demonstrating each one, actually as the child got to each box, like I would show him first before he wrote it, kind of like we do in writing. Which I know I said earlier, phonics and numbers are really the two big components because handwriting is something that is really good. It is. Cursive is very good for a child's reading because in cursive you connect letters and in phonics reading you connect blends, and so there's something in their brain that clicks for them faster when they learn cursive and phonics to read at the same time. So handwriting is important, but as far as like the main like academic subjects, phonics and numbers. So I just wanted to clarify that. So the next thing is it actually tells you in bold, which is again, this is something they expect you to say word for word. And that's really just to stay consistent. It helps you to like, when you're teaching a child to write something, whether it's numbers or handwriting, your wording has to stay the same in order for the child to be giving the same results each and every time. So that's a lot of times why they do have certain things bolded here to say these exact words, but I don't do that. I come up with my own thing that I stick to and make sure I'm saying every single time. All right, so it says to say, start on the red dot, slant down and walk across, pick up your pencil, start on the ceiling and slant down to the floor. ABC 1, 2, 3, page 37. So now you're working on the paper with the child. It says have child trace samples on paper as you demonstrate and describe each number. Direct him across paper by referring to boxes by color. Check to see that he is using correct formation and writing slowly and carefully. The child that I'm working with, one-on-one, he has some writing experience. It's not all in cursive or whatever, but he has some writing experience. He also is a little older. He's 5 doing 4-year-old material. So sometimes I will do like what the curriculum says. When it says the very first step said to demonstrate, that means separate from the boxes. It's telling you to like make your own 4 somewhere random on a piece of paper or on the board, whatever. Sometimes it will tell you to have the child write a number 4 randomly somewhere wherever you have a red dot, or trace one that you've written. A lot of times I just demonstrate right on this. So the first time that I demonstrated this for was right before he wrote it. And it's fine, like it's gonna be different for each child. Figure out for your child what's gonna work. Last thing it says is have child color paper. And that's really it. Numbers review is almost always gonna be one of those pages. So like for lesson 41, today's lesson, we didn't have a phonics review. There's not always that. But we had a phonics review in lesson 40, so I'll show you that one. Alright, so phonics review, preparation, visuals, PCG 2A, consonant chart A. PCG stands for phonics charts and games. Consonant chart, that's what's up there right now. Then it tells you letter picture flashcards 5, which is a hat, 11, which is a bed, 17, which is a cup, 53, which is a pin, and 119, which is a top. and then write vowels on sticky notes and place beside pictures. I just did one at a time right here, and then I had the child tell me which vowel he heard by pointing to it and the word as I said it. Then, of course, our blend letters, T, L, B, and N in appendix. And I showed you those before. On to procedure. Consonant chart A. Review first five consonants and then have child listen as you say next 5. Have him repeat sound and picture for next 5 consonants with you. Each consonant will be individually taught later. So what I do is I have the child say t, table, t, t, t. And the very first time that I went over these 5 right here, I had them just listen as I did it first and then did it with me. So horse, sun. You can also add motions in when you're doing it. For cat, you can be like cat. I don't know. Make up something fun if your child starts to get bored with it. That's what I would suggest. Ooh, okay, next thing. Letter picture flashcards. Have child draw lines to match each picture to its vowel sound. So again, I didn't do that with the sticky notes. I just had him point to which one it was. Last thing, blend letters. Review blend letters and emphasize in blends. So when it says something like that, I really make sure that I go slower on that blend letter, and or I do it twice. And sometimes I'll do it like differently. So maybe the first time I'll just go na 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 na, but then the second time I might come back and go na 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 na. You know, mix it up. So hopefully that helped you out. I will be posting a video hopefully next week where I show you the kids doing a numbers lesson so you can kind of get an idea of how I do some of the games or how I add creativity into the curriculum. Pretty much it for today. So the next time that I do something similar to this where I'm explaining the curriculum, I'm going to be going over handwriting and cursive. So I will be doing that the next time, and then after that I really would like to zone in and focus on certain things that you may be confused about or curious about. If you really want to know how to play phonics games and you're like confused about how they work, comment down below and I'll make sure to make a video about it. Or if you're confused on how you learn to do the cursive, comment below so I can make a video about it. So let me know what you're interested in and what your kind of questions are about it so that I can zone in more specifically. I know that we have an oral test coming up. If you're confused on how an oral test works, comment down below. Again, a lot of times these things are spelled out for you in the curriculum, but if you're a visual learner, this is going to be something that hopefully will be helpful to you, is me relaying some information about questions that you have. So yeah, if you want to head on over to my Instagram, on Instagram I am doing something where every single day I post something to my stories that says what I'm thankful for, and then I put a little box in there so that my followers can also put in what they're thankful for, and I can just share the gratitude, and I love that. So I'm going to be doing that every single day in November. What I'm not telling my Instagram followers, I'm only telling my YouTube peeps, everybody who enters or everybody who replies like with something that they're thankful for is entered into a giveaway, and I'm not even going to tell you what the giveaway is yet. So with Christmas coming up, I'm telling you, you're going to want to enter. So go find my Instagram. I'll put it right here what that is, and follow me on there so you can get all the updates. I actually update things all the time about what other activities the kids I nanny do. So like today we did a Montessori pouring activity, and that was kind of interesting, so I may be putting that up on my Instagram, I may not, but that's where you'll see that kind of stuff. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next video. I was hiding like the moonlight that never shows. I should've told you that I loved you one more time.